where the stories collide. David Mathis brings truth as our guide. From every walk of life and point of view, every voice here has wisdom for you. Lessons for life echo loud and clear. Faith and love in every word we hear. Through the struggles, the triumphs, the fight, we find the light. In lessons for life, Santa speaks of joy in the giving hand. A polio survivor find the will to stand. Bold messengers don't shy from being called to share. Each person has a touching tale of care. Lessons for life echo loud and clear. Faith and love in every word we hear. Through the struggles, the triumphs, the fight, we find the light. In lessons for life. From the lost to the found and the hearts that mend, every journey has a message to send. David's voice a lantern shining so bright, guiding us home with lessons for life.
Hello, everybody. How you doing on this November day? This is when it's being recorded in November, and it's the first day we've had snow. So whenever you're watching this in November, and Michigan has had snow, and I'm wearing a sweater. Well, we got a great program for you tonight. I'm not going to take a long time with drivel. I'm going to introduce our guests right now. Make them welcome, Tracy and Mary. Daughter,
Hello. Hi.
yeah, daughter and mother-in-law.
Daughter-in-law
Oh,
and mother.
daughter-in-law and mother. Is that correct?
Daughter-in-law and mother-in-law.
I got them. I'd like to get started by, I've talked to Tracy before, but I've never talked to you, Mary, and this is kind of spur of the moment. I've had a sort of a sketch of the story when I had Tracy on, but I just met you. So I'd like to know if you could share your favorite verse with us and tell us why you like it.
This is just a beautiful verse. It's from Psalms 91, 1 and 2. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust.
That's a beautiful.
I place my trust in.
But knowing you, or just talking to you for a few minutes, I don't think that you always have been in the arms of God, have you?
Not at all. No, I was born and raised by an atheist. I grew up an atheist, and I was very staunchly an atheist.
You were born in an atheist family and grew up an atheist. Did you say that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Were you introduced to God at any point before you met Tracy?
Well, I mean, I live in the South, so of course I did hear of Jesus. I heard of God, but I wasn't in church, and we didn't go to church, obviously. And, just besides hearing of him, I never really knew of him. So until meeting Tracy, I had very little exposure.
So you grew up through your teenage years before meeting Tracy. When did you meet her?
Not until college, and I was about 20, I think, when I first met her son. He was now my husband.
Oh, wow, that's very interesting. So you met her son, and he's the son of a very strong Christian. Tracy's been to our church and sung before. Mm-hmm. Was that an impediment to your relationship with your soon-to-be husband? I mean, you must be a Christian, right?
Well, when we met, I was still an atheist, but my husband at the time, he was actually kind of struggling, and with his own faith and kind of wrestling with it. And so it really didn't help that he met me, because I kind of drew him a little further away from God. I didn't help, at least. And so it didn't really impede anything, I think, just because he was already on that path. And so,
I know a little about Tracy. I know that probably when you met her, she was struggling in her marriage, weren't you, Tracy?
Yes.
That may have added to it some. Just for people who didn't see the other program, tell me a little bit about your relationship that you were struggling with when you ran into her.
Well, I had recently divorced. So she didn't come along at the time where I was in the marriage, but I was married to her father-in-law, is who he turned out to be. But anyway, she married my son. It was my son's dad, and he was a preacher for years, but he had a sickness and he became addicted to some prescription medications, which made it a violent home life to be in. And we struggled through that for years before our divorce. But I had just recently divorced when they met each other.
and I had known about it.
But I do know that when you say violent, there was some violence, and you were afraid for your life at times, right, Tracy?
Absolutely.
Now, is that when you met her son during that time, Mary?
They had already divorced, but I had known about her past, and had known about, his father. And I had met his father too, because, that he was still alive at the time. So I knew the struggles he was going through. I knew he was still at the time, addicted to stuff. And so it was rough to see that.
Tracy, I'm going back and forth because now I'm kind of lost in the story. I'm understanding more and more. You're struggling. You struggled through a marriage and were going through a divorce when they met. This had to add another problem to your life, didn't it? With Mary being an atheist and your son following along with her. That had to be a problem too, didn't it?
It was, it hurt my heart to see my son drifting. And like I didn't know at the time she was an atheist, but I did know that she didn't want any part of church. And at that point in time, he basically was out of church as well. So I would try to talk to him about church or mention things to him, but they would very quickly shut me down. They were very, I don't know, very.
We were argumentative.
Yes,
sometimes.
that's the word. Yeah.
Something happened to change that relationship, because I can tell now that you love each other and that you both believe in Jesus Christ as your Savior. Is that correct?
Yes.
So she had to have a come to Jesus moment.
Mhm.
Yes.
You tell me what the come to Jesus moment was, and maybe we can talk then about how Tracy helped her. Maybe Tracy was your come to Jesus moment. Tell us.
Well, so Thomas and I met when we first met too. Everything was going well, and he had a son too at the time. But everything, even with my new stepson, everything was still great. Our relationship was great. We struggled a little bit here and there, but it wasn't bad. But then we ended up deciding to have our own children together. And it was after my first that I had experienced some postpartum depression, which I thought was kind of to be expected because he was 2 months early. And so he was an EQ baby, and it was tough.
Now, you had a son, if I got this correct, with your husband that was his, right?
Yes.
Okay, then you had your own son and you
Mhm.
suffered postpartum depression.
Mhm.
That affected your marriage, did it?
It did a little, yeah. But all my life I had gone through my life just feeling like I've done everything on my own. I've gotten through the worst part of my life on my own. just a little bit of the backstory. You know, my family, I kind of was in an abusive family, and I struggled a lot as a child. I went through neglect and abuse from my parents, and I also, when I was younger, found out that I have a genetic disease that I'll always have for the rest of my life. And that was kind of my pivotal moment where I realized, or I thought that my dad was right. That, yeah, and my mother had passed when I was 5. And at that moment, when I found out, though, that I have this genetic disease that I'll have to live with, I thought, well, my dad's right. There can't be a God, because why would he allow this suffering on someone who's innocent?
Now you just
And
you had a moment where you met Christ. I understand the postpartum depression
mhm.
and what you're going through
So,
in your family. But what?
yeah, so just giving that little bit of backstory, just to say that all my life I felt like I've gotten through everything alone. I felt like I've done everything by myself. So, you know, once I got through the postpartum, I felt like I did it. I did it. And then we got pregnant again. And I had a miscarriage. It was a really rough one. I almost died actually during that miscarriage several times. And that was hard also on us. And as an atheist, though, at the time, I just kind of ignored it and didn't treat it like it was life, but it really hurt. And it was just me really trying to ignore the fact of, you know, what I needed deep down. But then we got pregnant again, and it was after that child that I suffered from severe postpartum depression that that nearly ruined our marriage. We almost ended it,
Did
and
you seek treatment during that time?
yes, so I actually almost took my life, and it was after that that I decided to get into therapy, and therapy did help. It's definitely helpful, but I still felt like there was something missing. And at this time that I was going through my rock bottom, that's also when Tracy was going through her rock bottom with her divorce, her second divorce.
So you both were going through depression at the same time. Did she help you at that time at all?
She wasn't quite able to help, just because she was dealing with a lot at the time herself. But what she didn't realize is she made all the difference for me, because how I handled my pain was where I wanted to take my life. I was done with it. But I saw how she handled her pain and her suffering and her rock bottom, and it was so different from mine. And I realized therapy was helping, but I knew something was missing. And it was in that moment that I realized that the difference between me and her was that she had Jesus.
That's amazing. And I hope our viewers are listening to this, because this is a critical point. If you're a Christian going through a problem and you're using Christ to follow through with that, you can impress somebody else like Mary. She came to Jesus with Tracy's help when she was going through her pain. Is that correct? I have that right?
Yeah. And she didn't realize it, she didn't realize that I was watching her and just realizing the difference between her and me.
You know it now, though, don't you, Tracy?
Yes, I do.
It helps you go through the pain you went through to realize that God was helping you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, now the come to Jesus moment. There must have been a point with this that you decided to accept Jesus. What
Yeah.
drove you to Jesus?
So, I like I said, I realized there was a difference, but I hadn't come there yet. But I knew that something needed to change. I still felt like something was missing, even though I was doing therapy. And there was a day that I was in the kitchen with my husband, and I looked at him, and I said it jokingly, but I sort of meant it. I said, honey, I think I need Jesus. And he kind of looked at me, and he knew I still had hesitations. So he had the best response he really could have had, because he said, well, let's just go check out some churches. It may just be good for you to at least find community.
Did you
And so I
find
was like,
Did you find Tracy's church?
yeah, so we went to a couple of different churches first, but then she was like, "Hey, y'all should come here." And so I was like, "Okay." So we went there one Sunday, and there was just the Holy Spirit was moving that day. There was no doubting, even for me, that the Spirit was moving. There were 10 people that were supposed to be baptized. By the end of the service, 35 people got baptized. And it was just amazing, and there was no doubting it, and it was impactful for me. And I didn't commit that day, but God was really working in my heart that day, and through the week. And the next Sunday came about, and my husband's like, "All right, well, where do you want to go?" And I was like, "Well, we'll go back there." And so it was February 12th, 2023, that I finally surrendered my life that Sunday. And I decided that I knew my need, my desperate need. The thing that I was missing was Jesus in my life.
Did your husband? You said earlier that your husband was having his problems. Did this bring your husband closer to Jesus?
Yeah, in a way, I was like the Lydia of our family. So I came to Christ, and then he also came back to Christ, and now all of our family, we are all except for our littlest, but he's almost there.
And
But,
praise
you know,
God.
It's time to introduce you because you're reliving her experience. It had to touch your heart. Tell me a little bit of how you feel after watching all this.
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that part.
Tell us
It's
what's going through your mind as she accepted Christ and your son came back to Christ.
it's very humbling, because there was a point where I would try to, speak to them about church and about God, and the only way I could really express to them, why I truly believed in Him was because of the things He had done and brought me through. So they didn't want any part of it. So I had basically a couple of years before that stopped asking and just laid them at Jesus' feet and just prayed that God would show them God things that would make them believe that He was real, because I was kind of frustrated with trying to talk to them when they wouldn't listen, and they were smarter than me with words and very argumentative. So I just started praying 2 years prior to that God would just show them. And little did I know that He would take one of the worst situations in my life where I was totally broken. He didn't make it happen, but He took that and turned it around to answer my prayers. So that's very humbling.
We have to mention here, not well, we talked about it before, that all this time you were still serving the Lord, even going through divorces. You still sang with Hope's Journey and your own group, and you traveled all over. That was part of your life,
Yeah.
even the pain you were going through. And you had to see that, Mary, and be impressed, weren't you?
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah, I remember even thinking that when I was at my lowest point, because she still had bookings and she was still out singing, and it didn't make sense to me that she could be singing praises to God after what she's gone through. And that was probably one of the most impactful things, is just seeing that she's handling this so different from me, and it could only be God.
And you, before you accepted Christ, sometime around college times, you mentioned to me that you even went to a Christian meeting and argued with the Christians that there was no God. Is that
Yeah, so I went to at the college. I went for the free food, um, and it was just a meeting for college students that were Christians to get together and have a little sermon and talk and stuff. And actually stood up and argued with the preacher about how he was wrong.
Did you change his mind? Is he now an atheist?
No. Yeah, and my point when I was arguing with him was, and it was always one of the points that I came back to, was suffering. Because I had suffered so much, it was hard to wrap my head around why God would allow that. But what was intended for evil was used for good.
Amen.
And I see that now.
I'm going to surprise you here, and you can tell me no if you want to. I understanding that you have kids there, and that your husband has agreed to do the babysitting in another room, right?
Yes.
Noise. I love noise, and I would like to meet your husband. Is there a way of bringing him
Yes.
kids in the
Okay.
room so our audience can meet all over the world, can meet the man behind you?
Yes.
Yes, and who has now recently announced his calling to preach.
Mm-hmm.
He's not preaching. Wow, I got to talk to him. Forget him. Things are working. You haven't been a Christian that long. You said 23.
Yeah. So just 2.5 years.
Yeah. So, how is it being a Christian? Is it different now?
It's different, but it feels like something I like second nature almost. And I don't know if that makes sense. But
It saved your marriage.
mhm.
It saved your marriage. You said that.
Oh yeah, it definitely did. It saved our marriage and our family.
Oh, you got a kid and your another kid. Tell me who these kids are. Who are they?
And we have the oldest too, who's just not with us, but he's 15. But we have John Frank, he's 6, and then Odin.
How old
And
are you?
he's 3, or he's 4.
4.
Mhm.
So, do you guys love Jesus? You do? You go to church?
Yes, sir.
You guys go to church?
You go to church?
Yeah,
Mhm.
What church do you go to?
Sherwood.
Oh, Sherwood Church. Is that a good church?
Yeah.
Does your mom sing there? Or grandma?
Mimi don't sing there, but Mom and Daddy does.
Yeah, we sing on the worship team now.
You sing too?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is really great. Did you the days that you took him to church, that church, and chose that one? Did Tracy sing?
She doesn't sing at our church. She just does her own group. But Thomas and I both sing on the worship team at our church now. And I got to sing actually this morning.
That's great. Can you sing a couple of notes for me?
Gonna sing something?
You want to sing something?
Because he lives,
I can face tomorrow because he lives. All fear is gone because I know he holds the future. And life is worth the living just because he lives.
I would like to, as we get down near the end, have you listen just for a few minutes as I talk to them about how you can receive Jesus Christ and change your life. No matter where you are, you can, even if you are doubting whether you go to heaven tonight and you have been a Christian before, you can receive him again, come close to him, and guarantee that you're going to see us all in heaven. Somebody's going to ask you a question. You guys can answer it. How does somebody go to heaven? What do they have to do?
What do you have to do?
You know, I know you know. Who do you have to accept if you want to go to Jesus? You want to go to heaven?
What do you have to do?
You did?
It's really simple, isn't it, John Frank?
What did you do? You got
Saved.
you got saved. And how did you do that? Let me know.
Jesus.
You let Jesus
Ask
in
for
your heart.
Jesus to come into your heart, don't you?
Mhm.
If you ask it and mean it, he'll come into your heart. He'll come in today. He'll come in to stay. And as of this moment, you're on your way to heaven. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Your mom and dad did that. And you've done that. And the 3-year-old over there, what's his name?
Odin.
Erlen's done that too. So you're all on your way to heaven. And I'll see you guys up there. It'll be kind of fun, won't it?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We had a good time talking to you tonight. And I
Yeah.
think I think our goal has been in this program to share your life, just as regular people, how you
Mhm.
accepted Jesus Christ and have somebody else follow you. How can they get a hold of you or Tracy or anybody if they want to make a decision and talk to you? If you want to, you can leave us your number or
Mhm.
give us your email address when we leave, and we'll pass it on to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I love that.
So if you want help, send us a card at Mathis Ministry that says check money in order to 418 St. Joseph Street. You can send us that to us, a letter or a note. We'll pass it on to them. Make sure you put your name and telephone number down, and we'll make sure they get it and give you a call.
Yes.
So we're ready to say goodnight. You guys ready to say goodnight with us?
All right. Tell them good night.
Tell them good night.
You like TV?
Good night.
Good night.
On a path where the stories collide, David Mathis brings truth as our guide. From every walk of life and point of view, every voice here has wisdom for you. Lessons for life echo loud and clear. Faith and love in every word we hear. Through the struggles, the triumphs, the fight, we find the light. In lessons for life, Santa speaks of joy in the giving hand. A polio survivor find the will to stand. Bold messengers don't shy from being called to share. Each person has a touching tale.